it's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story Podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, it's Ivy Slater. And I am so excited to be with you during this holiday season when we're interviewing a series of nonprofit leaders. And the conversations have been amazing. Today, I'm talking with Elise Warner. She's the executive director of Girls Helping Girls, period. The nonprofit she founded with her teen daughters that offers education and product donations to people in need and financial assistance to manage their periods. They never intended to be running an organization at all, but one thing led to another, and we all know how that happens in life. When they found out that girls in their own town were missing school because of the lack of the ability to have products during their menstrual cycles, they knew they had to make a difference. Elise's background is 20-year career in the field of journalism and is an award-winning producer and developer of nonfiction television. And documentary films. She has brought her expertise and her background into making a difference in this nonprofit. Elise, thanks for taking the time out of a very busy life and joining me here at Her Success Story today.
Thank you, Ivy. It's nice to be here.
So tell me a little bit about how this mission got started. I have to tell you, when I heard about it, it touched my heart as a woman and a mother of a daughter.
I think a lot of people, when they hear about what we're doing or they hear about the issue, a light bulb goes off because most of us never thought of this as anything other than an issue that we dealt with on our own. It can be an inconvenience. It can be the thing that leads to joy in our lives. It brings children into the world, but we don't really stop and think about it being such a limiting factor to people's business and work and going to school. We were in late 2014, we were working on a project. My daughters were about 11 and 15 at the time. We were working on a volunteer project, and we got a little bit of local press attention. And one of the reporters said to us, well, next time you're collecting products, you should think about menstrual products. It's not covered by any federal subsidies, and people are really suffering by not having them. We were shocked when we found out that in our own community, there were some students who were pretty regularly missing school because they couldn't get to school for lack of products, or they were leaving school, more importantly, in the middle of the day because they had had accidents they weren't prepared to deal with. And we just felt like that wasn't something we wanted to just sit and watch happen. And so we asked some family and friends who were coming for a holiday party to, instead of bringing a wine bottle or a fruitcake, to forego that and bring a box of tampons. And we ended up collecting a big pile of products and had a great conversation with our family over it. We reached out to 5 different families in the area and asked them to do the same in whatever way they wanted, raise awareness, bring in some products. And we ended up, by about Valentine's Day of the following year, 2015, we ended up with about 50,000 items. And suddenly,
I mean, that's a big number.
You have no idea.
And I'm seeing you in your home, and like kind of the garage is getting filled up. The basement
Actually,
is
it was the
up.
dining room, the living room, the hallways, and it smelled very fresh in our home. And there's one of my favorite of all time pictures from our entire experience in the last 5 years is my dad leading our Passover Seder in April, surrounded. And when I tell you surrounded, I mean surrounded floor to ceiling with a lot of padding and doing it without blinking an eye. My family has always been really supportive. It's been fantastic. But what we decided to do, one of our friends, Jennifer Weiss-Wolf, who I met during that period, and she has become an unbelievable warrior in the fight for menstrual equity in the past 5 years. But at the time she said, I wonder if you could give these in year quantities. And we said, well, what is a year quantity? Like, who knows?
How do you figure that out, right? Even as women, you start thinking about it.
Absolutely. I don't think no one buys them in year quantities. You know that if you've bought a box of 36 and you've got 10 left over, you need another box next month. It doesn't really you don't count.
You don't think about it that way.
We did the best we could by asking everyone we could, roughly, how many of everything do you use each month? And we packaged them. It was actually a huge package. We got bags and we put 300 products into bags. And we were able to change the lives of 180 families at a food pantry in that winter.
So I just want to get this. So you started by going to the local food pantry here.
Yeah, the very first donation we made to that food pantry was all of these products. We helped 180 families and gave them each. In the end, we were able to give them each what we estimated was a year's supply. And they would look in the bag and they just saw this mass of products and kind of weren't sure what to do. And we said, well, we're going to do our best to see you next year. And 5 years later, we not only support that food pantry full time, which has about 450 clients. We support several other pantries, and we've given away almost 700,000 products at this point.
700,000 products.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't anticipate running a nonprofit?
No, absolutely not.
And
I had a day job.
You had a day. So let's talk about this a little bit. So you're a mom, you're a working mom,
Mm-hmm.
2 daughters, you had a day job. How did this whole thing transform your life as a woman?
It's all at the same time. That was at the beginning of 2015, what I just described. And at the end of that year, I was laid off from my job for the first time in a more than 20-year career. I had been laid off, which is unusual in the field of reporting and producing. Generally, most of my colleagues had been through it many, many times. And I was running, I don't know that we had even become an official nonprofit until just before I was laid off. And we did that actually because we were collecting so many products and so much money that I felt that I wanted donors to have the protection of knowing exactly where all of that was going. I didn't want anybody to ever question what we were doing, and I wanted all of our financial information to be completely transparent. I collect no salary. I never have. Nobody ever has. We have almost no administrative fees. Anything beyond the products that needs to be bought, I tend to buy out of my own pocket as my donation. So I think maybe we spend less than 1% on some stickers. Honestly, stickers, we bought business cards was a big fun thing for $50 one year, some t-shirts. And so as I was transitioning out of my professional job into doing this role, I had an opportunity to really make something of this. And I've gotten a chance to really do interviews, and there's been a lot of press about this, about our organization, but also about just the issue in general, menstrual equity. It gave me a tremendous opportunity to just take everything I had learned in my professional career and focus it on something completely different. And I will say, for any woman who is listening, tell yourself this a million times. And 5 years later, I still have to tell myself, our value is not dictated by the number of zeros on our paycheck. Our value is dictated by the work that we're doing and the meaning that we create in other people's lives. And I know that the work we are doing is meaningful, but sometimes at the end of the week, when there is no paycheck, you can feel down, like you're not actually accomplishing anything. And you have to just stop and take a breath and say, I chose not to take a salary because I don't want to take money out of this organization. And I have to remind myself all the time that the good work I'm doing is so much more valuable than that paper check. It really is. But it's hard. It's a hard lesson.
So nonprofits, I always say, nonprofits are businesses.
Yep.
Because, things come in, whether it be donations of a monetary, in this instance, it could be donations that are monetary as well as donations that are of the Tampax and sanitary napkins and products that are given forward to other
Right.
women. So things are collected in. So when we collect something, right, but especially something of a tangible value, that designates it as some sort of business entity. The difference between, for me, is nonprofits for businesses is they don't get returned to the same, the give back is not to the same place that it's being collected from, except for the reward in your heart.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What have you, and now that you've been running this nonprofit for how many years? I just want to get clear on this.
We're just about to hit our 5th year, but we've been a nonprofit for about 4.
Okay. What do you see as the challenges in running a full-time nonprofit, from being a news producer and leader in the news field? And
Yeah. The audience for what I'm doing now is entirely different than the audience, which was a literal audience, and also the audience of my colleagues and my company and the network of people in the industry I worked. Now the audience are our clients, and they pay it in a different way. I'm not looking for the awards that I might have been looking for before, the ratings I might have been looking for before, or the raise and the bonuses. Now, honestly, I take the equivalent in hugs and tearful thanks from clients who see the amount of work that we do, that we show up year after year to give 1-year supplies, or in the schools where sometimes we go every couple of months. I just know, because I'm a woman, because I'm a human, that if I did not have these basic essentials, I can't even imagine how grateful I would be to somebody who just wanted to take that stress off my plate. So I know the difference that we're making. And the reward really is watching my family, my children, do this great service work to not a lot of fanfare. Honestly, you have to just look within yourself. I have a friend in town, a man who owns his own business, but he runs his own nonprofit. It's very different than ours, but very, very similar kind of thing. He's helping provide food for families. And we meet once every couple of months over a beer, and we just truly look at each other and go, "You're killing it. Like, you're doing such an amazing job." And he's probably one of the only people who really gets how I feel, because he has not turned his into a full-time job. He doesn't take a salary from his. And it really is helpful to just remind each other that we are really making a difference in our own communities. Truly. I mean, we can see the impact with the work that our organizations are doing. So that's where the focus is.
And I have to ask, so it started with you and your daughters.
Yep.
How, several years ago, as young girls grow into teens and become young adults and their lives are spinning, how did they stay involved? That has to be somewhat of a challenge for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Since they were really little, I've always done a lot of volunteer work, and I've done a lot of volunteer work with them. And I've tried to always teach them 2 key lessons. You have to have fun, and you should always try to bring your friends along. It's a wonderful thing to teach somebody else to give back. That makes you feel like a teacher. When you bring more people to the situation, you're helping more people. It's a really good feeling to bring friends along and have fun while you're helping other people. And in many cases, actually, some of our clients have been those people we've become friendly with, who want to help and give back. That was absolutely the reason that we all did this in the first place. We saw a need. We thought we could have fun. We could have our friends help us, which is why we did all those parties in the first, when we started. As they've grown up, they have found their own interests. My older daughter is now a sophomore in college studying environmental science, and she is so passionate about environmental issues and sustainability. And so some of the passion for Girls Helping Girls, period, she is channeling into work in that area. And honestly, that's the best lesson. Like, you should do what you feel passionate about, what brings you joy. And she still represents us as well, but I just wanted to give her a foundation for doing whatever it was that was important to her. My younger daughter, Quinn, is a junior in high school, and so is just getting on that, or actually she's been on a while, that like having to look for college track, which is the most stressful time in any family's life. I can't even imagine
Yes.
being a teenager these days.
Yes.
It's just a whole separate thing. But in all of that, and so we have had struggles with her, she's studying for ACTs and she's thinking about college and all of that and school and all of that. But in all of this, she's focusing less on helping me with the national organization, but she has started a Girls Helping Girls Period club and is the president of that club at her school and has attracted 30 people to that club, and they're doing their own work. So she's figured out her own way to do it. And that's really all I ever wanted, was for them to take all of the lessons that we try to teach as parents, whatever that is, and they make it their own. They make it their own. It's exactly right. It's a gift.
It truly is. It's the greatest gift when your children start seeing and adapting the lessons and the values that they were brought up with, and then incorporating it in their own way to their world.
Absolutely. That's right.
So Girls Helping Girls Period has now become national. Tell us a little bit about that transformation.
Well, one of the things about nonprofit work is that it is hard to feel like you're getting ahead. Like, it's hard to see the difference you're making sometimes. My daughters, when they were younger, it was really important to keep them engaged. It was important that they were able to see the difference we were making. So we really focused on, we sort of have a bullseye. We focus on our community, which is New Jersey, but it's really Essex County and Union County, Passaic County. The areas around us are really where we're focused. We are serving 2 universities, 5 food pantries, dozens of social services organizations, and hundreds of schools in those areas. Beyond that, we work in the tri-state area. We drive all over New York and New Jersey and Connecticut, but we are doing a little less work there. And then across the country, when there is a request, we help. And when there is a sort of natural disaster, when there are big news stories where there's been some disaster situation, we certainly have jumped in those situations. But that is where we stop. So it's concentrated at the center and dissipates as it goes out, because we really want to, that's one of the things that feeds us, is being able to see the change you're making. It's really nice that anecdotally, a lot of the school nurses have said that they are seeing less absenteeism in some of the schools. Now, it's not so widespread that it can really be quantified, but the nurses have said to me, I have 3 students who were here sporadically and now I see them all the time. And I truly think that not only has it helped because they're managing their period, they're able to manage personal hygiene a little bit better and just feel better about themselves. So our focus with regard to the products is more local, but we've really made a push on a national scale to deal with some of the underlying issues, which are that schools absolutely need to be making, having products in schools is part of the mission of education, in the same way that having toilet paper in the bathrooms is just a part of the mission of educating children. They need to be able to handle themselves when they go into the bathroom. Period, the end. So we feel really important, and we're happy to speak out that school districts really need to be budgeting for these products. Jennifer Weiss-Wolf is a member of our board, somebody we met at the very beginning of our organization, who became on fire when she started talking with us about the issues we were covering, and has since changed her entire life. She is a social rights advocate, always was as an attorney anyway, but now her main focus is what she has deemed menstrual equity. And she is prepping a case to go after every state that does not eliminate the sales tax on menstrual products by tax day 2020. So warning to all the states, you got about 6 months to drop the, and they're still, as of today, I think it's 35 states that still essentially tax our periods. That's right. That's right. It's a small little tax, but it's a few cents on every box, but it adds up to millions of dollars in each state, which frankly isn't even that much. And it should not come on the backs of only half the population. If you want to pave the roads in your state, fantastic. We all should be paying for that. So that's where the national
you have some major companies that are in the manufacturing space of female feminine hygiene products.
Yeah.
Where are they involved in this? Have they gotten involved in this? Where's the education around from that bigger perspective?
Yeah. When we first started this, people said, oh, you should reach out to the companies. They'll donate stuff. And actually what I found, not by reaching out, but just doing a little research, is that they really can't. I mean, they do make donations, but they can't be donating everywhere. They're selling products. I think the reason they've been so supportive of us, to be honest with you, is because Emma and Quinn have worked so hard. They've been so outspoken. They have been on television and on radio, and they've been in magazines and newspapers and in a book. And I think having the face of young women speaking on behalf of this issue has really brought a lot of fantastic attention to the work that we're trying to do. And many of the product companies have made donations to us because they want to align with what we're trying to do. And they've been incredibly gracious. Playtex and Always and Tampax and Seventh Generation. We have had partnerships with all of these companies, and Lola does work in this area as well. And some of the smaller companies have reached out to us. And I think that they are recognizing that times are changing, and that equity is just the name of the game these days. And they want to be part of that. And we are super proud that little us can be helping lead the education of some of the larger companies and work with them on their educational initiatives.
So, Elise, I have to say, one of the things that I'm most impressed about is you guys started with an idea from a situation you learned about, had a little party in your home, collected some product, and in a business perspective, a very, very short time, truly have expanded that you're reaching the big business manufacturers, and that they know you and that they are hearing this mission. And that's the ripple effect. Have you seen, based on your work, other areas in other parts of this country, other women reaching out to you saying, hey, we'd like to do something similar?
Yeah. Lots of people. And I love that. And I love to share everything I've learned. God help anybody who gets on the phone with me. I will talk their ear off on what I've done, because honestly, you make mistakes along the way, but not really. I mean, it's been a learning process. We always say mistakes are like the way you learn, but truly I've been doing this kind of by myself, and I have been figuring it out as I go. We started doing this because we wanted to help people in our community. And if there are people, hundreds of people across the country who want to do the same, I say, let me have you start at year 2. Let me just jump you up to year 2. And here's what you need to know. You don't have to learn it the hard way. And here are posters I've used. Here are flyers I've used. Here's the company that prints my labels. Here's if you need help building a website, I've gotten to be pretty good at graphics. Let me help you with some social media posts. I'm happy to do that, because in the end, we're just helping more people. Sometimes those people prefer to work sort of under an umbrella, and we allow them to be ambassadors, and they work under our name. Sometimes they want to start a whole new thing, and I have brainstormed organization names with them and said, fantastic, when you go to launch, let me announce you. I think the more of us who are trying to solve these problems, the quicker we're going to solve them. And I would love to be out of business.
So, I was going to bring it back to business right here, and love that you said it. In many, many business goals, you build a business to create a great life. You build a business to sell a business. In the nonprofit world, what differs in nonprofits from basic business is the goal is to be out of business, is to solve the problem.
Absolutely. And I have to say, if you look around today versus say 10 years ago, we were not talking about periods openly on TV, in magazines, even maybe in schools. The conversation has changed so radically, I think, in the last 5 years, that I think, though I don't have the exact metrics, I think we're way down the road on solving some of these problems. Like, I don't think we're close to solution, but I think the fact that we are talking and educating people and more people are coming into the tent to talk about it is what we need to actually solve problems. Some of the most engaged people we talk to are young people. Boys love talking about this. Boys are really supportive of us. I love it. They don't know not to talk about it because it's, the word menstruation and periods have been in their lexicon since when they were little. And I think the more people we bring in to talk about it, the better. I did a presentation a couple of years ago for a town committee thinking about putting machines in the bathrooms in all of the local offices. And there was all men at this table and they were like giggling and they wouldn't look up from their coffee and they were making jokes amongst themselves. And my daughters were with me and they had to have been 12 and 15 or 16 at the time. And we just did everything we knew to just put them at ease and just have a conversation. And about 10 minutes into the meeting, you just saw everyone's shoulders relax. Yeah, everyone just took a deep breath. Absolutely. And they just had a conversation. They got to where they felt comfortable. The girls weren't embarrassed. And I think the grown men were embarrassed that they were embarrassed. And it started a years-long conversation with them that has become very matter of fact. And they order products like they order toilet paper. It's not really a big deal. And it's great. And I think that we're all, not obviously just Girls Helping Girls, period, but all of the work of all of these organizations across the country, these legislators who are fighting, these lawyers who are fighting, everybody is making this better. It's fantastic to see the change in the last couple of years. Really amazing.
So listeners, this is a perfect example of one little thing that can make a large ripple impact on your community, your neighborhood, our entire country, and women overall. So it takes an idea, it takes a little bit of initiative, an action step, which aligns 100% with business. You have an idea, you create an action step, and you take that first step into it. If you have an idea, I encourage you to go for it. Let's continue to make a difference in this world. Let's continue to make an impact. And it's not about whether your idea is up to par with this idea or that idea. It's your idea, it's your passion. Elise, thank you, and thank your daughters for having the guts, the initiative, and the follow through of seeing something, doing something, and making that ripple impact.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for highlighting the work of all the people who work in this field. Thank you.
Listeners, if you have something to say, love to write a comment. We want to know what else you want to hear, who else you want to hear from. There's one way to find out, and that's to let us know and leaving a comment here in Her Success Story. If you have not already subscribed, please subscribe on the bottom, and we will be in your inbox every Monday morning. Elise, thank you. Everybody check Girls Helping Girls, period. You want to check it out. You want to make a difference and think about helping one young girl out there and one mom. Elise, thanks again.
Thank you so much.
To shine.